The World Theatre Day is celebrated tomorrow. And with this, let's look at productions currently running and how theatres have managed to cope during the pandemic. I'm joined by Rorisang Motuba, a theatre director, writer and actress. Rorisang, very good evening. Thank you for speaking to us almost in the middle of the night. I suppose my first question is, what have been some of the challenges working behind the scenes of productions in the pandemic?
Good evening, Hugo. Thank you so much for having me. It is the middle of the night, but I'm happy to be here to talk about this great play that we've put on at the Mark Theatre. Some of the challenges that we faced, during this moment of the pandemic, a lot of what has been said to people who are employed is, work from home. And that's something that's very challenging for us to do as artists because it's such a collaborative medium. And most of the work that we do has to be on set or in the studio or on stage, so to speak. And so it has been difficult because it's hindered our physical capacity to work, and it's affected most of our sectors because I'm lucky that one of the things that I do is that I write, so I can always write from home. But when it comes to now directing actors, when it comes to actors auditioning for plays, or when it comes to a set designer being able to design a set in a theatre, that's been something that we haven't been able to do for a long time. So amongst many things, it's been a very challenging time for us artists.
Well, it's been 2 years since lockdown. I think we commemorated first day of lockdown only a couple of days ago. And I suppose adaptability is one of those things that one would think is at the fore after 2 years of sitting and maybe not doing anything. But have artists in your league adapted and made plans to work around some of these challenges?
We absolutely have, because artists, we're some of the most resilient people in the world. So we've done it because we had no choice, So in terms of, as being someone who auditions, now a lot of auditions are happening from home. So it's now adapting to doing self-tapes. A lot of our meetings, our workshops are now being held over Zoom meetings or kind of, through our phones in whatever capacity we've been able to do. So we adapt because we've had to, because we don't know when this moment is going to be completely over, even though it seems like things are getting better. And obviously the most important thing for us is to keep on working. So we've had to become really creative about how we go about dealing with this moment that we're in. And we've had to really rally around each other as a community and support one another and support our projects very much.
Well, when we talk about things getting better, I suppose it's a good time to talk about, from a production point of view, what are your views around the new COVID regulations?
Well, I think in general, any time that we hear that they're easing any kinds of restrictions, I think that's good. It's good for our economy. It's good for society. So, from that perspective, I'm very pleased about it. As a person who's in the arts, it's so important to us to be able to have live performances, to be able to have people who come into the theatres or come to the stadiums to watch us perform. So it's been tough having sort of things at half capacity or when they were completely closed. So now that things are starting to get better, and yes, it may seem like it's trickling, but we have to be hopeful for the fact that things are getting better. And I can just hope that, sooner rather than later, we can get back to full capacity and to performing for people in the way that we used to and that we deserve.
Well, a few months ago, and I'm sure it's still happening, the Minister and the Department of Arts and Culture took a lot of flack around what support they did not give artists. Do you think more can be done to give support to theatres?
Absolutely. 100%. I've always thought that. I feel that we're not protected in terms of our working conditions, in terms of our compensation, in terms of our rights, our IP. I feel like, when lockdown happened, and everybody was told to stay at home, what was everybody doing? If you weren't working, you were consuming art. So you're watching TV, you're watching a movie, you're listening to music, you're dancing, you're cooking. All of these are artistic vocations and creative vocations and it was just a really natural example of how the arts really does hold society when society is brought down to its knees. So for us to then go out in the world when things are slightly open again and still not be compensated and protected in the way that we should be is disappointing. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of our artists look overseas, because even though our rand may not be as strong there, our money may not go as far, once we do get to a certain point, we'll be better taken care of by particular agencies and guilds. And so that's something that our government definitely needs to prioritize it. You know, you shouldn't have artists in this country who are so talented, who give amazing music or theater or dance or film or choreography, and then they can't even afford their own healthcare. You know, that sort of thing it's too tragic, and it's unnecessary, and it's avoidable. So I definitely do call on our governments and our agencies and ministers to pay attention and to take care of the artists and to hear us when we say that we need the support, we need the help, we need the infrastructure.
Now, when we talk about protection, I know that you're a big proponent around issues of GBV, and certainly what support female actresses can receive in theatres and on set, particularly where intimacy scenes are concerned. Talk us through your feelings around that and what needs to be done to protect female actresses.
You know, I mean, particularly female actresses, I believe, have been the main victims, but it is actors in general, because it's not just with, you know, females in these scenes. But ultimately what needs to happen is that there needs to be a clear understanding from production companies what means to the undertaking of an intimate scene, the vulnerability that an actress or an actor will experience in that moment. And to that end, they need to therefore adopt policies and adhere to policies where they have what we call intimacy coordinators or intimacy coaches on set. And these are people who are specifically hired to come set to make sure that everybody's comfortable, that everybody agrees to what we have decided is going to happen in the scenes, that nobody is taken advantage of, that nobody is coerced, that nobody is in a position where they are intimidated by a director or a producer or a co-star. And at this point in the country, we have very few intimacy coordinators, but yet we're still writing love scenes and engaging in love scenes. And so there's a huge discrepancy in that, and a lack of protection in that. And it's very troubling, because people really can get taken advantage of, especially in a country like this. And so it's something that's very near and dear to my heart, and it's a cause that I will continue to push for.
And something else that's close to your heart is a production, Diaper Mama, a tribute to your late mother. How long is it running for? What can you tell us about it?
Thank you so much. So Diaper Mama, my debut play at the Market Theatre, which means my mother's clothes, is running at the Market Theatre currently. We run 6 shows a week, with our Sunday show being a matinee show at 3 p.m. and it's running until the 10th of April. So people still have a couple of weeks to watch it. And it's a beautiful play about 3 sisters who, on the eve of burying their mother, they're in her room surrounded by all of her clothes, and they have to decide what clothes that they're going to bury her in. And so we discuss motherhood, sisterhood, we discuss grief and duty. And I think they're themes that we've all dealt with very much so, especially in the past 2 years. And so I think it's something that can resonate very much with people who come to watch it.
So this is based on your reality?
It's semi-autobiographical. I won't say it's completely, you know, from my own personal experience. But, you know, as I said, my mother did pass away many years ago. I have sisters, and we definitely went through the motions of having to figure out what to do with her clothes and what duty and culture, what place they play when you're in that moment of grief, and when you're missing someone so much, and what it means to hold on to some of these things that become tangible, that hold so many memories. So it's definitely loosely based on what I've gone through, which is why it's so close to my heart and so near and dear to me, and why it was a challenging piece to write and to direct, but ultimately it's been very cathartic and very rewarding.
Now, we know that Diaper Mama was also selected as one of the 10 local productions that debuted online in April last year as part of the Market Theatre's Salute the Playwright initiative. Tell us more about how this has benefited productions and possibly benefited you as a theatre director and actress.
It's been incredible. You know, it was such a wonderful initiative that the Market Theatre, and it was the artistic director, James Noble, who came up, I believe, with this idea to you know, because as we know, people were sitting at home. They didn't know what to do, but they didn't want theaters to shut down. You know, they didn't want theater to go dark, so to speak. So this idea came where let's have people come to the theater, observing all of our COVID, you know, protocols, and stage pieces with just 2 people, you know, in the play, or just 1 person. Let's film it, and then let's edit it, and let's put it online for people to consume. It was such a wonderful, wonderful way to, firstly, to have artists continue to work, which is wonderful, but to have people to be able to still watch what's happening in a theater space. You know, that was incredible. And it's one of the things that's, honestly, it's changed my life as a professional, because it was that, you know, that online piece that I did that has brought me to this moment now, which is a full play at the Market Theatre, which is honestly a dream come true. And so, you know, there's nothing ever for me as amazing and magical as live theatre, you know. But we are moving with the times, and so the fact that they've managed to catch up the technology but still honoring the art form in a pandemic was quite ingenious, and I'm very grateful to the Market Theatre for that initiative.
So when we look at movies, everybody watches movies, but who goes to the theatre? Is there a particular type of individual?
I just think people who go to the theatre are just, honestly, it comes down to if you've been exposed to the theatre. I don't know anyone who's ever gone to watch plays or watches plays and doesn't enjoy them, because there's something so magical about watching human beings in real time acting. And there's no editing. There isn't a different take. They can't do it again. If they make a mistake, they have to just live through it. And so people who watch the theater are just people who just enjoy watching us work at our best, at our most vulnerable. So movies are magical in their own way, and I have huge respect for movies also. But there's something so just special, really, about live theater, about watching people, seeing their bodies, hearing their voices, feeling the energy, being in that live audience. There's a reason why it's an art form that has stood centuries in the test of time. So before a person picks up a camera, they're acting in their room, you know. So it's something that's also very intrinsic to us as people, and so anyone can enjoy theater, and I think everybody does. They just need the opportunity to watch it.
Final question, just to recap for us again where we can watch this amazing piece that you've directed.
Oh, thank you so much. So the play is called Diaper Mama that I wrote and directed. It's at the Market Theatre in Johannesburg, and we run 6 shows a week, and you can buy tickets on webtickets.co.za, or you can contact the Market Theatre directly. Please come watch. I don't think you'll regret it, and you have a wonderful time. And I thank you so much.
I'm sure I'm not going to regret it. Rorisang Motuba, we will be watching us. Sure are many people. That was the theatre director, writer and actress Rorisang Motuba. Thank you so much for your time.